Hear that? That's the sound of someone trying to steal your crypto. Every day, thousands of hackers online are doing the same. That's why Arculus uses air-gapped cold storage technology to protect your assets. Using our keycard and wallet app to form a protective barrier, Arculus insulates you from hackers and puts control of your digital assets back in your hands. Order the first truly air-gapped crypto wallet at getarculus.com.
Clayton. John Clayton.
Hey, Mom! I'm done with my segment!
This is the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts with John Clayton.
Brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill.
Time to talk football, as we do every day at this time, with Wyman and Bob on 710 ESPN Seattle. If you guys have questions for the professor, text them in right now, 206-421-3776. That's 421-ESPN. We'll get to your questions as many as we can before we let him go for the day. Hi, John.
Hi, guys.
Hey, you're there. Okay.
What do you mean?
Whoa, they fired a sounder, and it was John Clayton. It was premature. I thought we were going to have problems.
They fired a sounder? What are we talking about?
Yeah, a little. It was like your open got fired in the last segment out of nowhere. It just started playing, John.
Oh, okay.
It's Halloween. There are ghosts in here.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
John, have you? This is something Dave and Bump, who we're going to talk to later, had said that they've sort of changed their expectations of this Seahawks team as the season has gone on, and I guess I'm still stuck in my. I think I said they'd win 11 games, something like that. And I'm still sort of holding them to that standard, which I guess at this point isn't really fair because they're just not that team. Have you changed what you expect from this team?
Of course. I mean, because, again, it's like I thought they were going to be an 11, 12-win team, maybe 10 at the worst. But now you can see that with 4 losses, because remember, the 4 losses they have, it's like the 4 losses that they had last year. And so you just start running out. So where they were a Super Bowl contending team, now I think they can be a wild card contending team. But let me tell you one secret, because obviously at 2-4, they're in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. No question about it. We don't know what's going to happen with New Orleans. They're going to beat Jacksonville. So that could be 1-1, and that'd be 3-5. But here's the key. If you look at the standings, there's only 6 teams right now in the NFC with winning records. Mm-hmm. Only 6. And so because of that, it's kind of like last year with Chicago. Chicago really wasn't a playoff team, but they snuck in, made the playoffs at 8-8. And so, that creates the opportunity for some of these 2-4, 2-3 teams to be able to maybe sneak in there toward the end. And again, we don't know if some of these teams right now are going to hold up. But I mean, you're sitting here now 6 weeks into the season, and you're 4 games behind Arizona. You're 3 games behind the Rams. I mean, you're most likely not going to finish 1 or 2 in the division. You're looking more at the the third place. And of course, you got San Francisco right now with the bye week coming back passed up. They're 2-3, but still they do have time to be able to try to fix things and see if they can get a wild card and do the best they can with that, which is still tough because it's 3 road games. Yeah,
no, you're right, and I was thinking the same thing. But some of the teams that they need to compete with there, John, are Minnesota, Chicago. I feel like the NFC East, Washington, Philadelphia, New York. I mean, you don't really. Well, New York's 1-5, but I mean, not great quarterback play.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Yeah, and then you look at Minnesota, Chicago, New Orleans, Carolina. Of those, 4, there is Carolina probably the best. They're 3-3.
3-3, yeah.
New Orleans 3-2, but yeah, I mean, I feel like Carolina is maybe the biggest challenge, at least so far anyway, as far as that getting that other wild card spot.
Yeah, but a couple of things with Carolina, of course, they got Christian McCaffrey on the injured reserve list, so he's going to be out 3 weeks. Then he's now missed 18 of 24 games in the last couple of years. And then say what you want, I mean, Sam Darnold got off to a good start, but he's not playing well. And so that's a big factor. Their defense is great because it's one of the best defenses in football. But Phil Snow's done such a great job with his blitzing packages and everything else. But I mean, it's still wide open. That's the one thing. Now again, I mean, that the 3 teams in the NFC East, and I'm including Philadelphia, just aren't any good. I mean, they've combined for 4 wins, and and think about this, with the fact that they're coming off a season where every team in the division had a losing record, the schedule that all the teams in the division had. with the exception of maybe Washington, who won the division and had to play, some of the, number one seeds, at the 3 times, is that, every team in the division had an easy schedule, and they're not taking advantage of it. The only one team that's doing it is the Dallas Cowboys.
So where are you at with the Arizona Cardinals now? Another impressive win. They do it without their head coach. They do it without Chandler Jones. They do it without a tight end that blew his knee out. You figure, all right, if they're going to have a step back, maybe this is it. Brown's a pretty good team. But here they are. And that was on the road, too.
Yeah.
And they go out there and just beat the daylights out of Cleveland. They beat the Rams, who were very good. They beat, Tennessee, Minnesota. At what point do you go, all right, this is really who they are? Not that they're not going to, lose a game here or there, but for the most part, is this the real deal?
I think it's the real deal. Now, the only thing that you wonder about is that they probably have had more COVID-19 players than any team in football. Because I keep track of that, and I have to update today's waivers. But it's like they're over 20 guys that have had COVID-19. Of course, now you have Chandler Jones. He missed the game because of COVID-19. Cliff Kingsbury missed the game. A couple of key offensive coaches, Steve Keim, the general manager, he had COVID-19, and those were all positive tests. So, you kind of wonder, at some point, does that catch up to them? Because, again, you saw last year when you have, a breakout on teams, it affects their ability to bounce back and do some things. But still, this team seems to be unaffected, and so much of it is because Kyler Murray is just so good. And so,
he's taken that step we thought he might take last season, right, John?
I'm of the now again, we saw it different with Andrew Luck. We saw it different with Russell Wilson, and we usually see it, not the same way with most quarterbacks, although I think we're starting to see it a little bit with Joe Burrow. It's usually the third season that the young quarterback starts to really emerge. And this, of course, is Kyler Murray's third season, and he's really emerged, and he looks for real. Like, for example, I know that probably being criticized for this, but I ended up voting, at least for now, Kyler Murray is the MVP over Josh Allen and over Lamar Jackson, and so and also over Aaron Rodgers. But I think he's played that well, and of course, say what you want, he's undefeated, and despite all the problems they had yesterday, they're still undefeated.
Hey, John, getting back to last night.
Yeah.
The run game, Alex Collins, he looks, you see from the San Francisco game, couple runs in the Ram game, and then last night, he's running as well as anybody in the league right now. The way he's seeing the field. Now, I'm not saying that, he's this top 5 guy, but that was really encouraging. What were some of the other, positives that you took away from last night's game?
Well, I think, in the secondary, because what you saw was a couple things. Number one, for the first time, I don't know when the last time was, but, you actually saw Pete Carroll rotate cornerbacks because he started with Sidney Jones naturally. And then even though Sidney was healthy at that one point, they put in Trey Brown, and Trey Brown looks good. And so then all of a sudden when Sidney Jones got hurt, Trey Brown went out there, played 40 plays, and he played them well. And so you can see that, maybe he's on the verge of maybe knocking on the door for a starting job. We all know that DJ Reed had a great game last night. I thought the other thing was that they synced up better, and it wasn't necessarily, I guess you can't say totally it was the linebackers because they only have 2 linebackers on the field. But the one thing that they did start to do is that, they use a few more, 7 defensive backs. And because of that, I think that, that certainly got Ryan Neal on the field because, how about this stat? Ryan Neal was on the field for 15 plays last night. And I know you like Ryan Neal, and we both like Cody Barton, but Cody Barton was only on the field for 2 plays, and he's the starting strong side linebacker. And so he was only on the play for 2 plays. That's it. And so because of that, I think you can see that he had more flexibility. It gave Jamal Adams a little bit more freedom to be, creative, blitz a little bit. Now he only had 6 tackles, but I know that he gets criticized, I think, a little bit too much. Like for example, that one interception that he could have had, the ball hit him in the face. But let's put it this way, in the face mask. But it's like, hey, it hit him in the face mask as opposed to him being 6 yards away from the guy who was trying to catch the ball.
Yeah, what do you make of Jamal Adams? As far as I know what people are going to say.
Yeah, I know.
They're going to say, oh, he can't play, the pass and everything. But, you have to say, though, I mean, after the one hits him in the stomach with the Jets, and maybe it's just something that, he needs to sharpen his skills, as far as catching the ball. I mean, I always use the example Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner has great ball awareness, is always getting it. But I wonder with him, I still feel like he can cover. It's just that he just has a hard time locating the ball and playing the ball in the air, it seems like.
To be honest, I mean, watching him now for the past almost year and a half, I don't care if he doesn't get an interception, right? I know he wants 5, but I'm more concerned about the coverage. Just cover. And if you can be there to knock the ball away from a wide receiver, tight end, whoever, that's more important than anything else to stop the play. But, I mean, the fact that last night, here they were so much better with their pass coverage. Now, for the total, they gave up, 345 yards in total offense to the Steelers. That was good.
Huge improvement.
Yeah, big improvement, because that now took them down to 434 or something like that, as opposed to 454. Okay, that was encouraging. The fact that, how about, because again, how many big plays this defense gives up in the pass. They only had one play that was longer than 15 yards. That was a 23-yard play, and they had 2 at 15, and in the first half, they didn't allow anything above 12. That was good. And so you can see there was an improvement there. There was a little bit more of a pass rush. Not enough, but still a little bit more. So that was encouraging. So, they did a better job of stopping the run. They just played better on defense to a point where once they got Alex Collins running the football, which, of course, they needed that to happen, is that, they were able to come back from 2 touchdowns down and eventually get it into overtime.
Yeah, and in total, as far as run and pass, there was only 2 plays that they gave up that were over 20 yards. And then you go look at, and on the other side of the ball, Geno Smith and this offense, they had 5 plays over 20 yards. So you would have never thought that going in. I mean, if you'd have read those to me, I would have said for sure the Seahawks gave up the 5 20-plus yard plays.
Well, and also I think the other thing that you can look at is that Ben Roethlisberger was restricted to a short game. Because he only threw for about 5.7 yards per attempt, which that's 6.4 is considered bad. He was at 5.7. Now again, he completed a high percentage of his passes. He had a great game. He was able to win the football game. All those different things, but they did a good job of minimizing Big Ben. So Big Ben was kind of either medium Ben or little Ben because he wasn't able to be Big Ben.
The 2 things that to me look to be true that you were talking about leading into this game, John, is the O-line isn't great and Big Ben is a shell of what he used to be. He certainly has lost his fastball. You watch him throw the ball, it just looks completely different coming out of his hand. And then the O-line, I was thinking, okay, great. This could be the game where the pass rush really has that feast, where they end the day with 5 or 6 sacks, and it's just one of those games. They had 1 sack that was a team sack. I mean, I was a little disappointed with the fact that they weren't able to take advantage of what you and a lot of people have said is really a terrible offensive line.
Yeah, but also what you're looking at too is that Ben gets rid of the ball now quicker than any quarterback in the league. I mean, we used to see that with Phillip Rivers, but what you're looking at with Ben, I think, coming into the game, he was getting rid of the ball in 2.45 seconds, which I think was the best in the league. And, like, for example, Russell, before getting hurt, I mean, he was down in a 2.67, 2.68 range after being 2.97 last year. But, Ben gets rid of the ball quick, and if you get rid of the ball quick, you're not going to get sacked. I mean, you can get pressure, and they got pressure. So that was encouraging. And it's also encouraging that, Darrell Taylor did not suffer a neck injury, according to Pete Carroll. And after being taken to the hospital, which, of course, the hospital was just, right really across the street from the stadium down there, they were able to get him back on the plane, get him here, and he has an outside chance of being able to play on Monday night.
Hey, John, did you hear this thing between DK Metcalf and Shannon Sharp?
Yep.
I guess he tweeted out something about, what are you doing, or trying to make a play at the end.
Trying to be a hero.
Yeah, why don't you get out of bounds or whatever, which that was my thought when DK comes down with that catch, and then he squares up, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to – and then he ends up,
trying to get a few more yards for your field goal kicker.
But I thought it was pretty funny, and I thought, Bob and I were speculating that maybe DK Metcalf is not fully aware who Shannon Sharp is, or at least wasn't at the time.
Probably, yeah. I mean, didn't realize he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And one of the great players for the Denver Broncos in their history and all that stuff. He's on the air, so as much as DK trains and does all this stuff, he probably doesn't watch a lot of the NFL Network and some of the things like that. So whatever. But of course, I think you're right. He probably didn't even know who Shannon Sharpe was.
Well, I have to say though, now for the first time I'm looking at the Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharpe's profile picture is him standing in there with a gold jacket and his bust. So I think DK probably should have.
He's probably not paying attention.
Probably not paying attention.
The age gap is such at this point where it would make sense that maybe DK's not that familiar with his knows he was a player, but maybe doesn't know much about him. Certainly didn't watch him play. Mm-hmm. So we forget how young some of these guys are.
But you would think that DK would have a better chance than most players his age to be able to do that, being that he comes from the Metcalf family and his father played in the National Football League as an offensive lineman.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows, man?
Who knows?
He's a young man. He may not just be, maybe Shannon's a football player, didn't know he was that good.
Yeah.
Went and looked up, because his final tweet was, hey, you know what? You're right. I do hope I have a resume that can stack up to yours, and kind of giving in, like, you know what, now upon further review, you're right. I thought that was pretty good. But as far as somebody was asking the text here, I'll go back and find it. Basically, they were asking, what do you expect Penny to do next week, because they're saying he's going to be available. To me, there's zero question as to who the starter is with Chris Carson out. It is most certainly Alex Collins if he's healthy. Should Penny be the number 2, or should it be DJ Dallas or Travis Homer? How do you see him?
I think you give him the chance to be number 2, but then you get Homer in there and you get Dallas in there, and try to get them all in there, because again they need to run the football. They don't need to do what they did in the first half, which is not run the football. That I thought was a mistake, and obviously Pete Carroll corrected that at halftime and said, run the ball. And they ran the ball, and they ran it well. The Steelers at times just could not even stop the running game, and could not stop Collins, could not stop Homer. They did such a good job there. But I think that, again, Penny's going to be a lot rusty, because, again, he's missed so much time. And obviously this is his last year, and he's going to have urgency and all those different things. But, I think the key right now is making sure they have Collins.
The Bengals took a lot of heat for drafting Jamar Chase out of LSU, and they should have taken Penei Sewell, and then they ended up playing Detroit yesterday, the team that took Penei Sewell. That Jamar Chase kid, he's worked out pretty well, man.
He really has.
How about the block that he threw downfield, leading, I think it was Joe Mixon, in for a touchdown. This kid and he had 97 yards reception and a long of 53 yesterday. So, they were proven right on that one.
Yeah, I think so. But again, I still would have felt better if they got some more help on the offensive line to give Joe Burrow a better chance to try to be able to do some things, because again, he just got so killed last year with how many hits that he had and the bad protection and all that stuff. And again, it's like I read nothing into wins against Detroit, because Detroit's so bad.
Yeah, quickly before we let you go, what'd you make of Campbell's comments about Jared Goff after the game?
I didn't see the comments.
He basically said he needs to step it up. He needs, I'm summarizing, but he's like, hey, you got to put this team on your back a little bit here. He's going to have to basically do more than he's been doing.
Yeah, that's not his personality, and so it's like good for the knee biter to be able to go ahead and do that. And he said he's going to shake up a whole bunch of stuff this week, but of course, there's not much to shake up because the team's so bad.
Yeah, that's why I would think, hey, Goff, you got to be better. I'm thinking, all right, well, what about everybody around him?
Yeah, how about Joe Judge too? Joe Judge, screaming that a lot of the players on the team aren't even given efforts.
Jeez, not good, not good. John, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.
There you go. If you missed any of today's Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill, download the podcast at 710sports.com. There's another option at quarterback for the Seahawks, but it sounds a bit unlikely. We'll talk about that next with Wyman and Bob on 710 ESPN Seattle.
Every day, thousands of hackers try to steal your crypto. But Arculus uses air-gapped technology by forming a protective barrier that insulates you from hackers and secures your crypto. Order yours at getarculus.com.